we're going to talk today about soft foot. Soft foot's one of the most important things we do. Every time you go to set a motor, always check for soft foot. No matter what the boss says, when he says there's not enough time, you're going to waste more time if you don't. What is soft foot? Think about sitting on a stool and it's rocking back and forth because one leg is shorter than the other. That's what happens to motors too. Or sometimes it's the base. On this one here, as I go and I just feel it, you're not going to probably see it on the film, but I can feel it's rocking, it's kind of going in this direction. So what we're going to do is, if you were to look here, I try to move this shim and it doesn't really move easy. I move this one here and you see how easy it moves? So this is why we got to take care of that, because if we don't, what's going to happen is when we tighten it down, it's going to rock. Depending on how we tighten it down, it's going to rock in a different place every time. So we want to take care of it. So how do we do that? Now on these type motors, because we have the thin sheet metal base here, they bend more, okay? And if you've tried the other method where you put an indicator on there, first of all, how do you get the wrench in there? It's easy to bump it, and then you'll see it springs quite a bit because the foot's bent. What we have found on these sheet metal ones is what's important is that it's tight in the back here. So what we're going to do is we're going to figure out how much we need to shim this thing. So we got feeler gauges here, and we'll start and just see if we can get a feeler gauge in. Now, what you want to do is put it in there. See how loose that is yet? That's not going to be enough. That's 3,000. So let's jump up to 5. Try a 5. It's a little bit of trial and error, but this saves you a lot of grief later on. So then we're going to go in here, back where it's tight, and 5's getting pretty close. I'm going to try a 6, and if a 6 doesn't go, then the 5's the way we're going to go. And also be careful you don't try to shove too much in there that just lifts the motor, because we could put an 1/8 inch in there. So I'm going here. Boy, that's nice and snug back there. Notice it's still real loose here, but back here where it's solid. So let's go with a 6,000 shim. So we're going to go and grab our shims. Hand me that shims, please. Now we look in here. We don't have exactly a 6,000 shim. We can go with a 5,000ths and a 1, but I'm going to recommend that we go with 2 3s. Why? Because I hate using number 1s, because they distort so easy, they can cut your hands, and these work. So I got 2 number, someone put a number 4 in the slot where they shouldn't have. All right, where's that other 3? No, it's not you. Oh, they put these in there backwards. Maybe I'm in the 4 slot instead of the 3. First one I grabbed was a 3. Boy, I can't tell. Then I would normally grab a caliper and do it. But using my super fine feel, I'm going to say that's a 3. So we're going to put this in here. And notice I'm putting in the shim so that that long side is going to be under that part where it's going to support it. And I don't want the shim to touch the bolt at all. If the shim touches the bolt, when we go to tighten it, it could damage the shim. And so we don't want to do that. So you may want to go and try where you put the shim in where it bottoms out and then pull it back a little bit. I like to center it there. Okay, so now what's happened? We don't have that rock. I can't feel it anymore. Now, you'll notice, even though this bottom now is not moving easy, this one ain't moving easy, and I'm going to tell you the ones on the other side feel good too. So we got a good fit there. But let me show you something that happens. A bent foot situation. Now, let's just throw I bet you that other 6, that 6 would fit in up here, maybe not. Let's look at this. You see how that fits in loose? I could probably go 10. If this, yeah, and this is just thick. If I had a really thick foot, like say 1/8 inch or more, these are real thin, I would have to step shim that. In other words, I would have to cut shims that would fit until it builds up to make that tight. But what we found on these flimsier feet like this, as long as we do this, we get consistent readings. So I'm not going to make you step shim, cut other shims right now. That's something in a later lesson we can work about. So now our next thing is tightening the bolts. This is very important, and I can't overemphasize it either. Always use the same pattern.
And I'm going to tell you, should we make that a second video out of tightening?
Yeah, we could, or you know.
Or just one? Or one?
I think
Hang it, no.
I think we'll just make it one because I think it'll go in there with that. Okay. Okay. So now when we talk about tightening these down, what we're going to do is we need a consistent pattern. Okay. So we're going to now. This is what I do. I know the book shows one, I do another one. It doesn't matter as long as you do the same order every time. So I always tighten the right front, left rear, and right front. That's just what I do. You could start at the front, crisscross, then go to the front and back. But you got to use the same pattern every time, okay? So if I do that, I'm going to have my assistant here help me on that, tighten these bolts down. So let's do it where you start with this one over here, then over here. Now the other thing is we don't want to do it all at once. We get them, make sure they're all snug, hand tight. Then we'll put a little on each, then a little more, and then finally our final torque is what we want to do. This one here.
So not going all the way tight, just kind of snug.
Yeah.
Finger tight, a little bit more right now.
Yeah. Tighten the other direction. Okay, now go and do the back one. Okay, we'll do it again. This time snug them down good. You know, you don't have to kill it. But if your knuckles get all white, you're probably doing it too tight. It's important that we do it in steps. It's important that we and when you're working with another person, have the same person do it all the time so they use in the same feel. Later on we can talk more about torque wrenches and what's available so we're consistent, but if you change it, your torque even can make a difference. Okay, we got them tight now. Okay, so now we got to tighten everything. One of the ways you can check and see if you've corrected the soft foot properly then is to just go and take and loosen one bolt. So let's loosen this bolt, just this one right here. And just loosen it up all the way. No, you're going right. Loosen up all the way. Okay, and then we're going to do our little test again. See, it's still snug. And you can do that on the 4 bolts and see. So now what is that going to mean? We're going to have consistent readings now when we go and do our leveling is the next step, and how to do that, and that'll be in another video.
And otherwise, soft foot behaves like a spring. That's what makes it inconsistent.
Yeah, and you'll notice even when these are tight, We might have a little gap here, but it's holding solid. On a different motor, more rigid like some of the others, then we're gonna have to step shim it to get that consistency. Okay, does that make sense to you? Good.